And I've started
I'm
recording.
recording. Yes, I'm recording now. Stop. Well, no, I just stopped recording. Let me start.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and pin this.
We're hot now. We're recording.
That's correct. All right. I believe that the spotlight video means that it will stay as the big video. Okay. That's what I believe. All right. So,
I'm going to mute my mic so it won't give you no background noise.
all right. So what we're trying to do here is that we're going to recreate this. Okay. This one's got 12 on the outside, 8 for that, and 8 for the bottom one as well. Okay. So there's 16 field interactions in the center, and there's 12 on the outside, and that's what we're going to recreate. And we're going to take one of these, and we're going to put one of these inside of it. Okay. I use coconut oil can. Okay, this is what I use to measure the side of my container. Okay, how well is this going to fit here? All right, that's how. A little bit bigger than this is what I decide for what I'm going to use to make these coils. Okay, so that makes these big coils. All right, that's what the coconut oil can does. Okay. Now I'm going to utilize another cylinder. Okay, this one has some copper oxide GANs in it. You know, it's just a little container. I want the diameter of this. Okay. And so I'm going to take this. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. Okay, that's what you can see back here. Is this little bit of a tail. All right. And then I'm going to wrap this 13 times. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Okay, you see how I've got them opposite? All right, I want this side to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to roll it. From here, clip this off. Get this wire out of the way. And slide it down here. Okay. So now you're going to see when I pinch the ends together, it's going to fan out. All right. You just kind of hold it in place while you're doing this. Okay. Try to get the tails as even as possible. Okay. And then you'll see, okay, that your wire, okay, like this wire is on top here, and then you have this wire that's on the bottom. Okay. I just take the wire that's on top, okay, and bring it through the bottom. Continue its natural path of energy flow. Okay. This wire is a little bit difficult to work with for me because I've dipped it in the charcoal already. Okay. You don't have to dip this in the charcoal. If you don't want to, you can nano coat it later. Okay. I prefer to dip it just to have a little peace of mind. I've noticed that when I try to nano coat with caustic after I've dipped these in the charcoal solution, that the copper stays the same color. It does not nano coat turn black because it's already coated once. Okay, So it's kind of a reiteration. Now with the other side, I do the same thing. Okay. Just continue on with it. Try to get the threads as close together as possible because this is your center core. Okay. This is where all the energy comes together and comes and goes.
No, or you want it in the opposite direction? I just want to clarify it for everybody. Or the same
Yeah,
direction.
it's following the natural flow. So if you went one direction on one side, it would go the other direction on the other side.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not pertinent. It doesn't, it's not going to make or break the deal here. Okay, we're just creating the shape and the structure of light and the energetic fields that we need. Okay, and so now you've got what looks like a ring. Okay, that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 rings on it. Okay? There are 13 rings. Keep it like that for now. All right, set that out to the side. Get something that's a little bit smaller in diameter. Okay? In this case, this is what I've got. Is this little aluminum piece here. Okay? It's a little bit smaller in diameter. You're going to do the same exact thing that you just did with the 12, except you're only going to do 9. All right, 9. 9 is the divine 8. Okay. Again, leave a little tail on it. Okay, and make 9 passes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. And I leave a little space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9. Okay, and I'll go one more just to make sure I have enough. It's long enough. And then I cut my wire. Now I've got 2 coils here. It's 1 coil, 1 single coil. Each of them should have 8. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch these 2 together. All right. Make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So now we've got that. We're good. All right. So I'm going to take this first one, and where they connect, okay, or where they intersect that, okay. I don't know if you can see that on the screen or not, but they start to intersect. Okay. Again, this wire is on top, so I'm going to wrap it around the back side, okay, and bring it through the center. I'm going to keep the coil tight, or the wrapping tight. Okay. I'm just using a regular 20 gauge wire here. Okay. So now you've got an identical ring to this one that's over here, a little bit smaller. Okay. And do the same thing on this side. Where the wire intersects or comes together, you're going to wrap it. Okay. All right. Now, this is such a brand new design that I haven't had any time to play with this or do any kind of measurements or anything like that. I just designed it today, right before I got online to this, and I thought maybe this is kind of important to share. Because somebody else can come up with a much better plan or idea, or maybe they can figure out their own designs that they've got. Okay, and I screwed up already because I'm too busy talking. Okay. Damn it. All right. So much easier just to do it this way. All right, so I may wrap it up. Okay. We got to do one step before we close it up. And I screwed up that step. Okay. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. Do the same thing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. Now, before you twist the ends, okay, you want to give yourself a little bit of space here. Okay. Curve the ends over and run it. This is the key part here. You gotta run this. And you gotta make sure that it continues to go through the center. All right, even while you're turning it. And twist the whole thing on here. And it can be a little pain, and I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but this is what I learned today. My understanding. Okay. Continue even with the second coil. Okay. All we're trying to do is make sure that this coil wraps around so it's inside the ring. So it's all the way down. Kind of tedious work here, guys, I know. But all right, almost done. Yay. Okay. So now we've got the 2 sets 8 on this inner ring. All right, and that's what we want here. I'm going to pull out the end that we twisted over. Okay, now we connect it. All right, like I said, this is just on top here. Okay, this wire is on top, so I'm going to go around the back side through the center, wrap it nice and tight. Okay. You can do the same thing on the other side. There's no link to worry about here. You guys just design what fits into your cases. Okay. This design I happen to want to fit inside of this little glass jar, okay, to make it. So just started messing around with some different sizes coils, and I came up with this, and this one was too small. So I needed something just slightly bigger, and I've got it, and that one works just fine. Okay. So we are going to, and Joseph, can you do me a favor and check the comments, things like that, because I can't see my screen straight on. I would appreciate it.
You wanted to know if you went to live YouTube teaching.
I'm on live YouTube. Cool, that means that Anuj is here. He's been dying to try out this, the YouTube feature that we've got, since we were able to get 130 something people. All right, now, when we first rolled that center coil on here, okay, these are the ends, okay? They're going to be the very center of this coil, okay? And all we're gonna do is be sure that these are all on that side, okay? And that point becomes the pivot point for your circle, all right? And it opens up like a lotus flower. Just remember, this is all copper wire, so it's bendable. And when you're bending it, you are activating its nanoparticles inside of it, because you're causing that copper to get hot. So your intent on whatever it is that you're making is beginning to get set in stone, guys. As it cools, then it sets itself in stone. It's like pushing record on your cassette tape back in the day. For those old enough to know better, still too young to care. And so we've created a little rodent coil with opposing vortex of 8 in the center. Okay, and it's got 12 on the outside. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So there are 13 total here. Okay. And then you've got the 8. You just kind of reach in there, pull it apart, and then
When I first seen this, I thought this was the most complicated thing to make, and you just made it very simple. And showed it being made very simple.
well, this is how infinity works. Okay, I've just taken 2 infinity devices and made them one. Even though that they're separate individuals. Okay, you've got the inner coil and you've got the inner core. Okay, then you have the inner coils and then you have the outer core. All right, and so what I'm doing is I've just created that. This would be the third. This is the same equal energy as 4 opposing stacker coils. Okay? 4 opposing stacker coils is what this relates to. So it's a quad core, just made differently. All right. And then you got these that you can stack up if you want to. The outer edge would be positive, the inner would be negative. So we got to figure out how to do that. But that'll give you a kind of an idea here. Something you can play with. All right, for you guys that like Rodin coils. All right, the other ones that I've got are the Infinity Phi, the Phi capacitors. All right, this one's got, I think these both have 9 in them in the center, and then there's 6 on the out, so 9 times 6 is 54. So this right here has 54 field interactions, and this one has 54 field interactions. And when it sandwiches, okay, it's 54 plus 54. All right, so you get 108.
Great. Can you
All
show
right.
how to build these, or they look?
Yeah, I mean they're done the same way as these rings. Okay, these center rings are. Okay, I use something a little bit bigger personally. All right, this was kind of the idea here, was to put these 3 inside. So that gives me 12. Put one of these on the bottom, one of the Phi caps. On the bottom, put a coil. A ring, possibly even a capacitor, Phi cap. Okay. Close that up. All right, so that there's only one. Add another ring, add another coil. Okay, probably just one ring. Okay, add another coil. Add another ring, add another.
No, would you put a strip of copper down the outside, on the inside of that glass to tap into the positive, or?
No, it's all connected. So, you know, if I was to put a stack in there, but, you know, this is kind of the idea that we're seeing here. Okay.
Would you run the rings around the outside of this now, right? You don't need top and bottom. You only need this.
Well, this idea keeps changing here, and I'm kind of looking for some ideas, so keep on talking to me. It's evolving as we move along.
Well, you just inverted them instead of turning them sideways, so it made more sense to run your other rings around the outside now and interact more with another 54 fields on each side.
Yeah, I would only need to put 4 on the outside then, because
yes, because you already have
the
got
one
another
on the
4 in
bottom.
the center.
Yeah, if I got the one on the bottom, I don't need to put one down here because that's providing a block. Okay, and then if I've got one on the top, then I don't need one. I just need to put the ones around the sides here. Go that route. So let's see, what do we got here? Total. I have a total of 6 and I need 8. So let's do this.
And
I'm running out of copper wire, guys.
what gauge wire are you using? 20 gauge or 18?
I use 18, 20, 22, and then for my bigger stuff, I use 12, 14, 16, and then I've got 8. Those are the gauges that I use for whenever I'm making stuff. You know, it's all dependent on what I want here. All right, the number of times that you wrap your copper wire, all right, is going to determine the number of field interactions that you're going to have. Okay, and as long as you continue to follow, and I'll show you, the natural path for infinity as you're wrapping this, okay, this will constantly turn in a clockwise manner once it's nano-coated, okay? So, again, I used the edge, or whatever you want to call it, of this coconut, okay, this coconut oil spray. to determine how big of a coil I want to on the face of this glass. Okay. And again, you do the same thing, except I'm going to put 6. I'll actually wrap it 7 times. No, 8 times is what I wrap here. Okay. So I leave a little tail again. All right. Tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and start over. Got a little rolly chairs. Oh. Try it again. Okay. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. 9 gives you the opposite. Okay. Then your start. Okay. So that's why I do 9. And I cut the wire. Remove it from the can. And bring them all together. Okay. And again, you're dealing with the ohm symbol again. Okay, the way it works here, the way I see it. Okay. And again, you have a bottom wire and you have a top wire. Okay. I make the bottom wire come around to the front. And then I space it around. Okay. Is there a number of turns or anything like that? No. Just make it look pretty. Okay, because this is art as much as it is technology. Take pride in your work. Okay. Know that you guys are the front runners and all of humanity when it comes to the structure of light. Never been taught before in this way in order to help bring equality to humanity. All right, so that creates your infinity ring. All right. Any questions on
Are you tucking, you wrapping to all the way to the end of your wire, right?
Yep, so I wrapped it all the way to the end. Okay.
And you're tucking it. All right. Or is that the tail hanging, or is that just a loop just sticking down a little bit?
That was just because of the not keeping the pressure even, so it built up on it.
Okay.
I just take the excess wire and wrap it around it. You know?
Yeah.
Nothing too serious here, but you do need to remember where the 2 wires come together. All right? Because that's your negative end, or the one that you would hold in your left.
Wait a minute. That's in the bottom end where you finish twisting, or in the top end where you start it?
When you very first, or when the very last of the wires that you're putting on here. Don't make this any more difficult, okay? You see, I've got the 2 that are sticking out here, okay?
Yes, okay. That's
I'm
the end.
continuing this one, and I'm continuing this one.
Yeah.
The 2 wires come together right here, okay? So this would be the negative end that you would put in the left hand, okay? This would be the positive end. It's important that you recognize that, because when you put these Trinity wires, or these wires in between here, okay, you're going to you need to connect them here, okay? That's the dividing point. So now I've got one more I need to make. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. That particular wire annoys me. It rattles around inside the package, and I don't know why, it just annoys me. So, all right, again, okay, we just wrapped it. All right, want to even it out as much as you can. And usually that last ring, that last one that we saw previously on mine, is caused by one of the starting rings. And there are many things that you can do with this, guys. Don't just limit it to the infinity ring. Okay? I know that there's other designs out there.
You gotta lower your hands down a little bit, Mike. So we
Okay.
can- yeah,
There's
thank
other
you.
designs out there. Thank you. That are not going to do the exact same things that we're doing here, but you know, they are feasible for other applications. Okay. So now you've got an in and out, okay, for your capacitor ring if you want, and it's got 8 field interactions going on in the center here. So what do you want to do with that? That means that there's 4 opposing fields inside of here canceling out this energy. All right. I choose to keep it rolling. All right. Because I love infinity so much, and I know that it's so self-powered, and that the infinity by itself is going to create its own source of energy. And then you take the 8 or 9 or whatever interaction that you want to put in the center here, okay, and you put that along the center. Let's see here. One more package of wire left, guys, and I'm broke. Broke from wire. Okay. The same thing applies for making your rings. All right. If you want to make a specific diameter, okay, like this, you don't necessarily want to use the same diameter that you've created making the outer rings. You can, all right, but you want to go with something just slightly smaller. In that case, for me, it happens to be an old table leg, plastic table leg. Okay, it's hollow. And as you can see, there is a slight difference. All right, as far as diameter is concerned. All right, I also know that it's going to fit within this ring. All right, and the reason why we're doing this, you see, okay, how many field interactions do we want in the center? 8 seems to be a good number, so we'll go with 9. Right? 9 is the divine 8. So aside from the wire that you're holding, all right, with your thumb, okay, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so far I've got 5. 6, 7, 8, and 9. Oh, look at that. Perfect. I didn't even have to cut it. Okay. So we're going to take that again off of here. Now you've got the 9 field interactions, right? You're going to squish them together. Whenever you got an odd number, okay, remember you always have what I call the Trinity effect, okay? It's not really the Trinity effect, but you have an in and an out, okay? If you were to have an even number of coils, then these 2 wires would be together at the same end. But because they're opposites of each other, that's the way I've positioned them, we're going to flatten it. There are easier ways to multiply your field interactions. I don't have the wire to show you guys. Well, I might. I got one roll left. I can show you how to do this. All right. So what we've got is we have 9 field interactions here, which is the divine 8. Right? Now we've got the divine 8 all wrapped up in here. Okay? It means that there are 8 field interactions, and the 9th one carries it away. All right? When you're using this much wire, okay, it has a tendency to pop out. Okay, I'll fold out the one that goes out the other direction. Okay, sometimes it has a tendency to pop out right here on the drill for me. Okay, so we'll go that route. We can do a number of things, and one of them is to stick a piece of wire here at the end. Okay, and you can smash this wire in here. Hold it. Because what's going to happen is that you're going to have to twist all this wire. Okay, and it's twisting to the right, so you want it to be nice and even. Okay, you can see how this one just popped out. Okay, right there. You can rewrap that. That's your Trinity wire. Okay, just until it's tight, and then you can pull out your whatever you use to turn. Okay. Okay. Now you take that, and it fits perfect, just about right across the center here. Okay. The end that you clipped from the spool or that was left over, okay, at the very end, you have the end that you put in the drill, right? That's your positive end, okay? That's the positive end, and then you have the other end, or excuse me, that's your negative end. That's not true. This is your source end, all right, which happens to be the negative end as well, okay? That's what we're dealing with here. So what you're going to do is that you're going to find the source end here, okay? Remember where the 2 wires were pointing together towards the center, right? Okay? You're going to take that, set it on top, and wrap it, okay? Over the top, I want you to see this, over the top and clockwise. Is that visible? You able to see that, Joe?
Yes, it's good. The way you just showed it, good.
All right, so you're going to want to turn this, continue turning this until your excess wire is taken up, okay? And you want it to go into the clockwise position here, okay? Flip it over. Again, it's the opposite. So split your ring in half, okay? Wrap it over the top, and again, clockwise, okay? You got nothing to worry about as long as you follow these little rules. Okay. Then I just pinch down the ends, kind of keep them from grabbing anything. And this is how you make a fly cap. Now, we did 8 on the outside, right? You can just count your wires. Let's count them. Okay, maybe. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means that there are 8 field interactions here in the center. Okay, and then there are 8 as well in the center here. So now you've got a total of 16 field interactions for, 8 times 8, that would be 64 field interactions. Okay, Metatron's cube. Done right here. So keep that in mind when you're making these on the number of field interactions that you want. If you follow 8s, you get 64. 64 is the same as the Indian mantra, okay, that you can see. It looks, I don't know, it's kind of a weird depiction of Metatron's cube, but it's there. It's the same matrix that we are building when we make these units, okay, around the planet, because as people create these units and bring them online, they all connect, okay, especially the infinity ones. They all connect, and it's like instant pop-up cell phone towers. And the more people that we get to connect these, the bigger our grid gets around the world. And these little infinity devices, the MagGrav units, those kinds of things, those are all little little cell phone towers, little pyramids, little Weidencliff or whatever Tesla's towers are. Okay, that's what these are. And so when you make one, you're actually creating free energy for your neighbors, yourself, anything really. So you're creating a grid for communication, you're creating a grid for health, you're creating a grid for teleportation of goods and people, you're creating a grid for electricity, you're creating a grid for all of the plants and animals to also feed off of and be taken care of. So go ahead and be selfish with my ideas here, okay? And please try to make it better in some way, shape, or form, okay? Like I said, I've only done this, I've only made this here today. I haven't had any time to experiment or even nanocode or even connect it together. I just felt that it was important to share with you guys, you know, in light of the weather systems that we've got coming in and all of that. So now we've got this. These are all 9s. Okay. I think I've even got 8s in here. I'm not sure. As far as, no, these are 6s.
Are you going to gans them with any kind of gans?
I can't hear you.
Are you going to put any kind of gans on them?
I'm going to dip these in my charcoal solution, okay, and shake it up. And it has GANs in it, okay. I'm also going to add some more CO2 GANs to it as well. The water bucket is nano coating very well right now. And my meter, I put some DC voltage to it. I actually hooked it up as the ground. And there's no power going to it whatsoever. And I mean, there's no positive lead connected to it. I just connected the ground to it. And then I'm using
ground or ground wire?
Just a ground wire to the negative terminal on the on my DC power supply. Okay. And when I turn on my power supply, the alarm goes off and it's telling me that it's giving me 12 volts from the power supply, but I've got my meter turned down all the way. I've got everything all turned down. So, you know, I don't know. I don't understand it yet. I haven't been able to sit down and meditate clearly. So now there's lots of ideas that we can use for these things, guys. You know, it's just a matter of what do you got to put it in, you know? How do you want it to be situated? You see? There's lots of ideas. Making little stackers. However,
I noticed you're doing something very smart that you can do. You can make your product fit into whatever you have available to build with.
yeah, anything is, you know, because I wanted a very specific size, I can make it a very specific size, and that's what I've done here. You know, I've done similar, like this right here is, it's got 4 field interactions, 4 rings on it, and then I've just made a capacitor over the top of it with a wire capacitor. Okay, and it's got it in and out. And I call this one the little capacitor grenade. I was using little welding tips. Okay, and there's only a certain gauge wire that fits inside of those. And so I use those, put the threads inside the drill, and then I just rolled the wire over the top of it and connected it together. And you can see here, and it puts off all sorts of voltage. No amps, just all sorts of voltage, jumps around. I don't trust any of my meters anymore. I think they're all nano-coated. But just kind of give you an idea of what we're working with here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and the one thing that I do know is that it's a lot easier to wrap these as a capacitor when they're not on here. And that's kind of determining whether or not I want to take them off. Just for simple. I'm going to take it off of here just for simplicity's. So you can pre-make the rings, and you can pre-make the Infinity 9s. All right, and once you do this, now I know that these are already dipped in my charcoal solution, but I'm going to go ahead and dip them again. Okay. Just because I can. And now just make sure that they're going to utilize a towel here. Not as wide as my little unit here. Okay. And I've just got my paper towel. It's just wet with the GANS water and charcoal and diatomaceous earth. you don't want your fingers to turn black, then use gloves or something of that sort. Okay. I have plenty, they just get in my way. And where is my aluminum foil? I got some right here. The amount of aluminum foil that we are using here makes this 300 square foot roll we've got seem massive. Okay, again, I'm going to dip this into my charcoal water to ensure that it gets nano coated, and then I'm going to fold it in half. Okay. I know somebody's going to ask whether it makes a difference. You either use the shiny or if you're using the other. It's all nano coated, so it really doesn't matter. But you know, whatever makes you feel better, guys. Okay. And the longer side, I always cut my source side longer. So in case I determine, you know, I've got to tear it apart or whatever, and the bend has to be taken out of it, I can always tell that it's the positive side because that's the longer side. Okay. So what I'm doing, I guess, is I even need to make this a little bit smaller. Okay. Okay. And again, you see me, I hold this end right here and I just twist. Okay. And then you can take your smaller gauge wires and use them as your jumpers. Okay, you can see this. This is 22 gauge. All right, you can see the discoloration because every chance that I got, I would take it and paint it with my charcoal, okay, to ensure that every single time I pulled out a piece of wire here, that I knew that it was going to be nano coated. I didn't have to worry about it. Okay. Part of working with light and everything else is you're just eliminating all the little steps that you want to worry about, like numbers. Okay. Things like that. All right. So I'm going to cut off a fairly big piece here, about 3 or 4 feet. And we're going to make ourselves little short wires. We'll see what kind of space we got on here on this little one, because the previous designs called for 5 wires. I'm pretty sure that you can use a thinner gauge wire, and it doesn't matter how many times you wrap it. All right. Just as long as it gets wrapped. So we're going to do 2 here. One and 2. Okay. And I have a feeling I see the way this is going to have to be connected. And it's going to look like a cross when it's done. We already know that this one is connected to this end. So we're just going to connect it. So now we put 2 on there, and we got 3 more to go. Okay. It's not touching the aluminum foil, okay, but it doesn't really matter because they're connected, okay. So you're just leaving a little bit of a space there. Okay. And these other 2. 1, 2, 3. Same things. Two and 3, 4. Okay. So we know that these 2 are going to get connected together. These would be the 3 that are in the center for the Q reactors. Okay. And they're all going to get connected down here. So now you've got a positive and a negative. Just twist them all together. Okay. So now you've got all the negatives tied up on one side. You're going to tie all these together. And again, tie these together. All right. So now we have a phi capacitor bead here. Okay. And for me, the longer one is always my source. Okay, so this would be the one that's bent over. All right, and it will join where these 2 points come together, where the 2 wires, okay, join together in the center. Okay, so we're going to, once again, place it over there. And twist it clockwise. This is the clockwise turn motions that we were talking about earlier. Right. Again, split it in half, find the clockwise, and continue clockwise. And we have just made a phi cap capacitor with 64 field interactions with a plasma battery combination. Okay, and this will go on the outside right there. Okay, and because you've got a positive and a negative, which is determined by the tinfoil, okay, this would be the negative, this would be the positive. You can take a wire and connect it. Okay, just take a little wire and wrap it around this end. Okay, and you can connect it so that they're all in series. Okay, connected positive to negative. Just remember, your aluminum foil side is the negative side. All right. right, guys. Are there any questions? You know, I got something here in the chat.
I don't see anything in chat. I think you've been very, very, very directional with what you've been doing.
You have to speak up, boss.
I said, I don't see any questions in the chat. You've been very, very direct with what you've been doing. You've really been wide open. You can see everything you're doing. You made it look really easy.
Well, I hope that it's easy. I really do.
When you first showed it, it looked really complicated. I'm like, I made rodent coils. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult, especially when you're working from the center out, and you've got to be the star. And when you are the star, literally, and you're looking outwards, what does it look like? Well, it kind of looks like that. Okay. You got to remember that the top coil here is opposite the bottom coil, so you're creating your toroidal field. Okay, just in the energy flow from these 8 coils. All right, these 8 coils that are on the top and the bottom here. All right, they're generating energy that's going to wrap around that center core and then be forced out around the edges here.
You're mimicking the Earth itself.
Yep. We just recreated the north and the south pole of the Earth with the central core. Okay. Kind of proving or disproving, however you want to look at it, the hollow Earth diagram. Okay. Because this is how the Earth is created. This is, if you were to just build the structure of the Earth and the energy fields of it, this is what it would look like. This is what any planet would look like. Okay. With the north and the south pole. Right? Which is the central core. If you were to go to, you know, the north pole up there, you would probably see a little opening. Okay? And maybe the same thing down there at the south pole. I'm not 100% sure because it's full of ice and it's always being bombarded by the Third Reich and Anunnaki and whoever else that's running down there.
Well, that's why you see the northern lights.
Yeah, well, the northern lights are created because of the ionization in the atmosphere, but the way the toroidal field comes and enters in there in the North Pole, yes, it creates the lights. So maybe we can create some lights doing this. You know, need you guys' help to help with the experimenting on it, and you know what we can do and how we can put these to use, because I'm pretty sure that I only need to put these in the corners of my vehicles. And given that it's got enough ionization or energy, or it's separated correctly, or give and take, everything is balanced, then it should have the ionization of hydrogen. And I don't know, maybe this is because they're all 8s, this is the Oasis unit, you know, it'll cover everything that the human body needs.
That would be amazing. If that, I don't,
I'm not sure. My brain is telling me to make these today. I've never made these before in my life today, but it looks like I'm a freaking expert at it. You know, because I just made 3 of these here. But
I do the same thing you do. I feel it and I start making it.
My question though is this required? Is this required to go over the top of this? You know?
Yes, I believe it is, because
on both sides.
You're causing it, and you're causing just like the North and South Pole. And don't forget that we're getting energy from the sun that's hitting us, that's ringing it.
Well,
you're flipping. You might be flipping the poles by putting one on the top and one on the bottom.
Yeah, because you see, if I put it this way, this is the direction that it's supposed to be. Okay, if I put that center coil in there, that's the way this would be lined up, energetic-wise. Okay,
Well, you're putting them on the outside like that too.
So if doing it that way, and I put it this direction, okay, if I put it this direction, and I set it on top. Now I'm sandwiching. Okay, this is what I'm doing here. Now I'm sandwiching it between 64 field interactions. It takes 264 field interactions to create 64 field interactions in the center. A balanced version of it. So,
Is it pushing it all together and shooting it back out, though?
well, I don't know. If I was to connect this positive to negative, okay, then I would be able to alternate these, okay, literally just flip them around, run a single wire down all three of them, okay, because they'll be positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So maybe I should build a small frame. What do you guys think? A frame out of 8-gauge wire?
Well, what you're doing right now, you're touching the positive and negative. The outer field of the ring is touching in the positive, and the inner and your inner capacitor is touching the negative. No?
Well, I'm looking. It is touching.
Why couldn't you take the 22? Why couldn't you take the 22 gauge wire and just tap it on certain spots, like
Well,
in between the loops?
I don't know why.
You know what I'm saying?
We're learning. So yeah. Now you guys can see what I'm seeing here is, you know, looking at it directly on. Okay? Because it's the magic in the middle. That's where the magic happens. It happens in the middle. So if we're going to do this at phi, okay, and have a phi reactor, should we space this at 120 degrees and give it a turn? And we create the outer toroidal field? What do you guys think? Can you see that one in the back?
Sorry, I had to shoot a message out real quick. What did you say about the center?
If we offset this, okay, by about 120 degrees or phi, we create the outer toroidal field in the direction that we want the outer toroidal field to go.
That makes sense.
Okay, if we put it equally, okay.
So what you're saying, you're going to cause a spin like this.
Yes, but I'm going to create it using the energy.
Yes.
Not
Well, that's what you
necessarily
wanted
the copper wire. You know, like
No. That's what you want to do. You're trying to get the plasma energy to spin and work itself.
Yep, and be contained. And that's where this part comes in. And it does need to be sandwiched. I have figured that much out. Okay. So I know that it's got to be sandwiched. How do we connect it?
Why don't you run one thin wire down the center of the core?
It doesn't go through the center because it's all twisted. That doesn't mean that it can't go through the center. It's just that my particular setups, they're pretty tight.
Yeah, but if you wrap it like a kundalini around the inside, helix it, and bring it up and out.
You can, I suppose, but the energy's already there. Okay, we just
you would
we
just
don't
be
need
riding
the
the wheel.
connections. Remember,
Yeah.
we don't physically need the connections. Human beings need those connections. All right, and that's one thing that we're trying to work on is removing those connections from disconnecting ourselves from the physical world. Okay, and we have to understand that plasma and light will connect to itself. If you make an infinity device, it'll connect to other infinity devices like mine. Okay, if you've ever made a health pen, you know, it's connected to all of the other health pens that you've made or made similarly. Okay, it's the shape. Like when a person takes and makes, you know, for instance, something like this. I don't know if this has ever been made before, you know, for plasma usage. I know that a rodent coil has, but I don't know if those two opposing coils on the inside has ever been done. You know, I don't know that kind of stuff.
No, I've seen a lot of rodent coils. I've never seen them.
You know, and to each person that makes one of these, it's, you know, sure, the design is set in stone, so to speak, meaning that when you design something, especially in copper wire and in Infinity, the design is yours. It's attached to your soul, because you're bending the wire, you're awakening the atomic structure of that copper wire, and as soon as it starts to cool down, it's set in stone. That's where it comes in. So, you know, keep that in mind when you're bending these stuff, you know, on these wires, and you're designing and creating. So all of these designs that I make are basically attached to my soul. And it's a gift because I'm willing to share anything all the time, you know, all the way around. So now, I don't even know what you want to call these, okay, but if you've got 16, 8 in the center on top, 8 on the bottom, they're joined together. The only thing connecting them is this single wire in the middle, okay? I don't know if you can see that, but there's just a single wire right here in the middle, okay? That's the only thing connecting those two coils there. So I think that needs to be the negative in there, is that I need to attach the negative wire to that, and then a positive wire to the outer coil. That's what this is telling me, because with the outer coil right here doing all of its rotating, that would make it positive, okay? And it's wrapped around the center, going in and out, so the center here would be positive, making the outer positive. And you need this center coils, these center coils here, to be negative, okay, to create the layering that's the energy layers, okay? And so you have one opposing coil on top and one opposing coil on the bottom, which means that it's going to create an energy and a pressure in the center of this, okay, between the top and the bottom coil. It's going to create that pressure and contain the energy within the center. So how do we prove this?
Well, if we're making if it's forming plasma in the center, it should radiate out. You should be able. Well, some people should be able to feel the difference when they hold their hands over it. And that.
Where did my famous I just touched my coil back there. Just testing some stuff out here, and I'm not seeing any other kind of reactions.
Well, does the system need time to build up, or are you usually getting instantaneous on everything?
Usually it's got to dry, okay? And then when it's dry, I have my gold GANs in here. Okay, that's being washed from this, and I just stir this up, and I dipped all of the water coils, and I used the paintbrush and I painted some of this gold GANs that I've collected on here. But after everything's dried, then I will paint it again or dip it completely inside of this water, and then let it dry again. And it comes out as like a really, really deep blue, kind of, like the color of this lighter.
Yeah, like a royal blue.
Yeah, it's almost like a royal blue connection, or not connection, but a GANs that's created. And then it dries into, it looks like copper oxide. Okay. And I don't know if you can see the green.
Yeah, no, I can see it. Yeah, it does look like copper oxide.
It looks like copper oxide, and then once it, if you get it wet with like coconut oil spray and things like that, it turns a little bit darker.
That's funny because I've been using a coconut oil spray myself.
Well, it's the easiest thing to do. You get sometimes you will get the excess amount of the propellant that they use.
Yeah.
That's in there, but other than that. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the recording here,
Okay.
and not gonna